And here we have just a little dry fit of the speaker grill inside of the raw cabinet. As you can see, we're going to have a pretty tight little space there once we get the other material in there. By the time the glue and the Tolex gets in there, we'll probably eat up another 1/16 of an inch on each side. So obviously, because you can see black behind everything, I haven't painted the inside yet, so you can see there's still that there. But once everything gets painted black, obviously this will clean up a lot better. So there's that. Let's show you the other side here. This thing's starting to get heavy now. Don't drop it. Let's try not to. So you can see what I'm saying there by it sticks in just a little bit. I may even, no, I don't think I will. I'll leave it alone. But in either case, the edge of the speaker will go here, and then the inside edge of the inner edge of the actual cone will probably be right about where those are. So it doesn't really chop them off too much. I need to stop doing it, but I basically created myself a logistical, would you call it logistical? I don't know. I wanted this thing to be a particular size, and while I was thinking about going taller, I didn't want to go too tall because then it would start looking dimensionally weird, like, because I wanted to build an all-in-one, kind of like the Matchless Avalon or whatever. So the amp will sit up here and then everything else below it. So if I went up a little bit taller to make that cavity a little bit bigger, it just would have got weird, and I didn't want to go too deep. I was happy with the depth that I was getting here. I wanted to try to get things into a standard size, like, so if you could buy like a 10-inch or 12-inch wide piece of material, it'd be 11 3/4. Well, this thing here is like 10 1/4. So it's like right in that happy medium where you could build this out of not plywood but actual chunks of wood. So there are a couple things there that obviously kind of dictated how I was going to build this thing ultimately. I did some test fitting. You can see here where I marred up the wood a little bit, pressing in, well, you can't really see them, but I have the T-nuts on the back to hold in the back panels, obviously. So I was using the screws to pull the T-nuts in, and marred it up a little bit. Luckily, you're never going to see that once I put the Tolex on. So we're getting really close to getting the Tolex, though. So in any case, here it is. All right, just another quick status report. Let me unplug this real quick. Oops, sorry. Now it's out of my way. I'm free. So we got all the panels able to be put on with the exception of the back plate and the front stuff. That's some vanity shit there. But I'm at the point now where I can at least paint the inside of this cabinet here. So as you can see, that's what it's going to be. So the cabling will come up through here. Hi. And then it'll connect into the amp. So the back of the amp ends like right here, right? So that's why I had to do this little cutout, because I need some stuff to go down, i.e. the connector for the speaker. I left this here too because it does kind of make a nice little handle spot if need be. And then I just wanted something that was kind of neat. I don't know, it kind of follows this motif right there. So, whatever, it is what it is. So as you can see, I got my gapping there so I can get my, to account for the Tolexing and whatnot. There's that. This thing's starting to get heavy now that I got all the wood on here. You can see in the back there, I got to cut these screws a little bit shorter. I'm waiting for the 1 1/4, or excuse me, 1 1/2 to come. But we got this all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is paint all this here and all on the inside there, so it's all nice and black and stuff there, so it looks all pretty. So there we go. Getting close. Alright, I'm going to make this one short. There's 100 videos out there on how to Tolex your guitar amp. I'm going to make just a couple of suggestions, mainly because it'll help you in your build. If you're going to go with 3/4 inch panels like I did, I would definitely consider the idea of rounding over. You can't really see that now, can you? It's even worse there. Imagine that. There, now you can really see it. So, edges like this are worth rolling over, especially if you're going with a 3/4 inch panel. It gets really difficult to get this thing to round over, especially outside corners where you've got to pinch it in and you end up with little nibs. Now for me, this isn't such a big deal because the nib is on the back side and this is actually going to be hidden behind the thing, so you're never going to see it. But so this is one of my first few attempts at Tolexing. I am not a Tolex pro, so that's why I'm not going to really give you many pro tips on it. Mainly because this is really my, second, third, fourth time, something like that. I don't know. This came out okay. It's got an interesting, unique shape in there. I painted the back panel black, and then I painted the whole thing with the shmoo. I just found it easier to deal with it that way because it makes the panel black. The only downside is where everything's stick, you can kind of see where it once got pulled up. So that's going to require me to do some work to clean it up a little bit, but in all, this came out really good for being a 3/4 inch panel. So there's that. My suggestion is, if you're going to go with a 3/4 inch panel, do a round over on the edges that are going to be shaped. If you're doing a square panel, not a problem at all. You can do that all day long. Sorry, I got tools and stuff everywhere. All right, so how do you do that? Well, you get your Tolex, and what I did is I went with a 2-inch thing all the way around. Sorry, you guys are gonna get dizzy watching me here. I took a ruler, which is 2 inches wide. It seems to be about the right width for this. So by the time you get it 3/4 of an inch up, it allows you to get about another inch and a quarter on the other side, which gives you enough to work with. Don't worry about the lines being a little tight. You'll see that it actually fits within this box. I'm using the heavy duty shit. I'm doing the stuff that gives you a contact high. Contact cement, contact high. It will make this stuff stretch a little bit, so it'll actually expand in all the dimensions. But I paint the inside of my panels black. I like it that way, and I do paint the whole thing. The nice thing about the contact cement, this stuff here, at least anyway, is if you get it on thin enough, over there I got it on a little too thick, but if you get it on thin enough, it just creates this nice little film. It seals the paint in, and nothing really sticks to it after it dries. So that's good. Well, nothing really sticks to it that doesn't have other contact cement on it. So, but in either case, this panel here won't be so bad. I'll probably end up with some little nibs down in these corners here, but all in all, you create a perimeter around your thing, and then you obviously pookie up the front side of your thing, let it dry for a little bit, pookie up this thing, let it dry for a little bit, and then you just carefully set it in there so it's kind of squared within your things. Obviously, like I said, this thing's going to grow a little bit, but and then you just fold it over. Luckily in this case here, most of my corners are going to be nice and square. So this one here, sorry again, this one here is going to have the same profile as this one here, so I know how this is gonna work out on the top half. So I'll end up with a little nib over here and a little nib over here, but maybe as I do this more and more, I'll get better and better at it. Another thing I've noticed, my panel shrunk. All of these lines were touching at one point in time. So I'm not going to say that you need to do it over. What it is I did this late at night. So when I came in to do this, it was like 12 o'clock at night by the time I finished. So it was a little bit warmer when I started, and then it got colder as the night went on. And I don't have a heater out in my workspace, so I think what had happened is the heat from using the heat gun to kind of get everything to conform and get where it needs to go. Everything fit initially, and then it sucked in a little bit. Not a big deal. It doesn't hurt anything. Like, obviously this is all hidden back behind anything anyway. I didn't use staples. I wanted this thing to settle first and see if I was going to have any pull away, or something that was going to pull off the material. I put enough glue in these areas here that it didn't pull away and pull off the material or pull off from the wood. So that's good. My suggestion, another one of my tips, is that when you're going to have contours like this, and you're going to have to do some tweaking to get it around, make sure that you've got good glue. And you don't want a lot. Too much of a good thing is still too much, but you definitely want to make sure you've got good adhesion in here. If it doesn't, you'll end up like my test piece, where I went a little too light, and on my test piece it would actually pull up, so it started to pull away. A little bit of heat helps. You don't want to use too much though, because you don't want to give it, what you can actually do is kind of warp, and you can almost see it on this one here. Maybe not, I don't know. I did a pretty good job with this one, but you can almost see where it tries to warp the shape of the material. You know, the little corrugation that it has, or whatever, the texture. But the point being is not too much heat. You just want it to be warm enough to be able to make it malleable to fit in there. This stuff here, if you're using the, you know, the flammable stuff like I am, that stuff will cause the stuff to be pretty malleable anyway, and you may not need much heat, but do be aware that, you know, this is going to shrink down a little bit. So if you have external edges, you're going to want to make sure that you keep those edges pulled together. And in light of that, that means I might change my plan a little bit. Initially, I was gonna, here, I don't have it. It's the amp's over there. But so I was gonna, if you can imagine the amp just sitting there, right? I was gonna do a thing all the way around and put the seam in the middle on the bottom. I'm thinking now what I'm going to do is to do a flat panel on the bottom that just wraps around, and I'll just do one piece that goes up and over the top and down. So the bottom will have its own piece, and then the sides, top, and whatnot will be just one piece. The reason for that is that it'll allow some contraction and stuff like that, because I'll do an overlap layer. So when the things shrink, they'll shrink against each other and hopefully pull themselves into place. So that's the hope. We'll see. I don't know yet. But that's kind of irrelevant. This is more or less just to show you kind of this stuff here. So I'm trying not to make too long of a video, but I don't want to leave out any pertinent details. Obviously, the cutting of the corners should be pretty self-explanatory, and there's 100 damn videos that kind of show you that. In this case here, if you were to just cut out these little squares, you know, you just fold it over, and you'd end up with a seam on the edge, that looks like that. Again, these were a little bit tighter initially when I did them, but again, these are going to be hidden. You can see this one pulled away a little bit more than the other ones, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I wouldn't consider that to be Class A, or, you know, Class A work or whatnot, but for the purpose in which it's going to be serving, where it's going on the amplifier, it is not the end of the world. You'll never see it. I can tell now, or I can see now, why piping is a huge thing. If you can imagine having piping all the way around that thing, you would never see those seams anyway. So I don't like piping. I think it just, to me, it's obviously trying to hide something. Although it does look nice, I guess, in some contexts, you know, it's nice to have a little break, you know, a little line break and stuff, but piping is cool sometimes, but not all the time. And it wouldn't work with my panels anyway, because these are going to be exposed panels. So if I had piping along here, you would actually see where the piping ends, because this part here is visible, as is this part there. Because this goes up in the back of the amplifier like that. So I guess, like, what is it, Thomas Sinclair always says, always in moderation. Whatever, you know what I mean. Yeah, I just aged myself a little bit there. But there's that. So I'm going to get this thing done, and I'll show you kind of another after picture when we're done. Hey, what is going on? Just another quick little update here. As you can see, not much has really changed. You may notice, of course, that we've got, sorry here, I'm just trying to do this. We've got some wood accents going up in here. So we've got, we're going with walnut, although on the camera it kind of looks like cherry, or almost some other stuff. But I got an LED light that's going to go in here, and that's what the slot is back there for. The amplifier has a ballast inside of it to power the LED light, and the screws that hold the ballast in go in that slot there, and then of course the wire also tucks in there as well. Doesn't mean much because you can't see that, but so we're ready to give this a coat of Danish oil. The only other thing I've done is get everything fitted and, you know, kind of polished up a little bit. I've gotten the all the, you know, the T-nuts put in, everything's painted inside and out, so moving on. Alright, just another kind of quick update. As you can see, we now have things taped off there so we don't get glue on spots that we don't want it to be. So the Tolex is obviously going to wrap around, and it's going to end here. So when it comes up to the top there, we want it to kind of stop in that range there. wood is looking beautiful inside of there. I needed to do this first because I had to paint this, and I didn't want to have the Tolex on there when I was doing that. So what we've gone and done is made sure that all the nooks and crannies are filled up, and we got everything the way we need it. We've got everything here kind of prepped out, ready to go. We've got our Tolex all cut up and prepped. We got some lines to denote where the edges of things are going to be. We've got our the high test stuff there. So yeah, we're just getting kind of ready now to coat this whole thing. So that's next on the agenda. So we're going to get to it. I'm not really going to show you step by step again. There's plenty of YouTube videos that show you in much greater detail how to do this, and I'm not going to do it any justice. So we're just kind of, I guess, chronologuing what we got going on with this thing. So you're just kind of watching us go from nothing to something. So, alright. Alright, then after a couple of hours of futzing around with the Tolex and some glue, you end up with something that looks like that. I am not an expert on Tolex. It's partly why I'm not going to give you a whole hell of a lot of data on it. I'm not too bad at it, which is to say that, from a 20-foot view, I don't think anybody would know. I'm getting better little by little, but as with anything, practice makes perfect. So, yeah, let me get this thing kind of turn around here. So you can kind of see how I did the back side here. I still got to do this section in here. That one's going to be a bitch. I'm not looking forward to that one. I need to learn how to design cabinets to not suit an aesthetic, or I need to do it the other way around. I need to make the cabinet work for what I got going on, not making the well, you know what I mean. You get it. So yeah, there we go. So the back plate's obviously going to fit in there. Those are already done. And then of course we got our beautiful wood. There are going to be corners on here, so my wonderful corner work won't be shown. Not that it's great corner work. I mean, it's not bad, but that's not the point. Yeah, it came out pretty good. I'm kind of impressed. It's on this. So on here, it looks a little more blue than it actually is in person. In person, it has more of a greenish hue. At least on my screen, it's showing up more of a bluish hue. I don't know what that might be, but whatever. So, yeah. Alright, well, you know what they say. Professionals don't panic, they pivot. Not that I'm a professional Tolexer or anything like that, but what we're going to do is change the game a little bit here. So we got this piece here, and how it works is like that. But you can see, in order to make that work, I did have to chop it a little bit. So those two little nicks right there would have been mirrored up here too. So it wouldn't have worked on top anyway. But this piece here, I only need it to be like that for aesthetics for the backside. So for the top, because the backside of the amp, you can just kind of see a glue line there. But that's where the back of the amp sits. So it's not a very large piece, but what we're going to do is create a wall. We're going to have a walnut strip that goes all the way across. So it'll kind of act like a little louver, if you will, here. And we'll just cut like a little slit out of the top of it for the jack to point down through. This cutout is mirrored on the back piece that goes here, right? So the back piece that goes here has the exact same shape, just going down. So, it kind of falls out. So it's this little hole that you can get your hand in that you don't really need. It's not there for any other reason other than to allow a cable to go through. So the hole it's created is obviously superfluous to my needs. So what we'll do is we'll pivot a little bit, and we'll integrate a strip of walnut that goes into the back of the cover. So it'll all be one piece. And we'll just cut a little slit in the walnut there that the cable can pop through. So that's what we're going to do. Sorry, it's a little cold out here, so I'm shivering almost. We actually had frost last night, and shoot, we're in the middle of January over here, so where I'm at, that's generally pretty cold. So, but yeah, I'm very happy with how this Tolex job came out. I definitely need to work on my corners a little bit, but you're never going to see those because we're putting leather corners on these things. So, I'm quite happy with this color. Although it does look a little more blue on your screen, it is greener in reality. But anyway, just a little touch up on what we got going on. We'll see you in a few. And just some more progress report activity going on here. As you can see, we have the frame in, and we actually have the amp with the frame in for the first time. Not much to it really. So we've got a 2-inch frame that goes around here. There's going to be a plexiglass panel that goes through about there. It'll be about 2 inches wide, and 2 inches is kind of the motif here, but you can just kind of see how everything's coming along here. It's not too bad. This is not painted yet. If you can kind of see the contrast, it'll darken up to about like that there. There's also a trim piece that needs to excuse me. There's also a trim piece that needs to go up in here. And then in this little cavity that's left, we will put an LED light, and you will be able to then illuminate the amplifier. So just a little quick tip, or not tip, just a little quick update on what's going on. I can tell you right now, we've got this thing down to a gnat's ass. It is so nice when you can get things that nice and tight. I went for again, I still can't. I think they call it Heritage Fit or whatever. But you know, it's where you can actually see the chamfering still. I need that because obviously on the inside there's just no way you're really ever going to get that to line up. This side lined up a little bit better than this side here, but what I can do is increase the chamfer on the inside here, and it'll help kind of line that up. And it's off by just so little, maybe 64th, 32nd of an inch, maybe less than that. It feels like a 64th, whereas this side here is just dead nuts. So I mean, it's really hard to be that accurate with wood, especially when you're trying to make it fit in a box. Like, nobody's doing what I'm doing. Don't do what I'm doing. This is the hard way. I think what I'm going to do with my motto is, if there's a harder way to do it, I'm going to find it. Because I'm not kidding. I have literally picked the most difficult way to put a freaking amp in a box. That's what you're paying for. That's why you pay the money that you pay for somebody like me to build this stuff. You are getting one of a kind. It will not be like any other amp out there. There is nothing else that is built like this. So there. Anyway, just a little progress report. So here we are. This part's gonna be noisy, I'm sorry. But there's just nothing like watching the machine do the words. It's like this thing is just jiggling around, running at about, I don't know, 50 inches a minute, but this thing is just really dancing. It's so freaking cool. You can't even see it, it's even better. So yeah, from afar, this thing is just jiggling all over the place. What is going on, YouTube? Here is a quick update. I need to apologize. I have moved ahead quite a ways without you. You're not missing much. I mean, let's be realistic. I've made a rectangular piece, glued it to another rectangular piece that's glued to another rectangular piece. I showed you the jiggling of the CNC machine as it was scratching out my face plates there. Something else you may notice is that there is a mirror in the background. Hi, Toodles. That is one of my signature pieces to my amplifiers. Another thing that's going to happen is a light. We're not done yet, so don't feel bad. It's not like you've missed all that much. So there's going to be a light that goes up in here that will light down into the amplifier. We've got to work some of that stuff out yet. Still, we've got some corners that are going to go on. I got some leather corners, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about this piece here, because this is an important piece, very important piece, and it was given to me, or gifted to me for this project by a very wonderful person that we're going to give a nice shout out to in more depth here in a bit. But this is where we're at. This is all finished up, ready to go. It's been oiled down and all that jazz. I apologize, I didn't really involve you in much of the steps. There's not much to it. I mean, this piece is pretty simple, really. It's we chopped out some of the side there to make some room for the plexiglass. Obviously, this is just a rectangular piece of wood that is glued to yet another rectangular piece of wood, etc., etc. I came out with the name Legacy. I really am going to try a little harder. This might be a placeholder for the time being, but I like this font, but obviously the two L's don't match, so I think ultimately I didn't have time. I'm running out of time, which is partly why I skipped ahead, but we're going to get this L hopefully included in this one here, so you'll kind of see the whole thing that way. But there is that. Let's well, what I'm gonna do. Sorry, I'm moving all over the place. My apologies. I'm gonna put you down for a second, and we're gonna show you the backside. Woo. All right, now look at that baby right there. The lighting isn't helping anything right now, but talk about a fitment. So, hold on, let's get this thing out of here. See if I can do it without. So this little piece here is cut out like that on purpose because it actually fits within this thing. So you can see I got some magnets in there. We need to sand those down a little bit to actually get them to level out, but this thing here just kind of goes but it fits like a dream in there. We've got a couple more things to do. I've ordered the screws that I want for this, and I got to install one there yet still. So we're kind of getting near the end here. We're starting to wrap things up, but yeah, isn't that pretty? Oh my god. I ordered this stuff online, and when it came I was just like, are you kidding me? They sent me this slightly burled piece of whatchamacallit here. Like, come on. Hold on, let's get some more light in here. Hold on. I don't know if that helps at all. A little bit. But, beautiful chunks of wood. I love walnut. Walnut, there's something about it that it's just, I'm happy with it. So next, obviously, we got to clean some stuff out. We got to get all the dust out of here. We need to put feet on this thing before I put the speaker in. So there's a few things left to do. Obviously, you can see we punch holes for the back panels. The back panels need to go on here in a minute, but obviously we need to do all the rest of the dirty stuff first. So, all right, just a quick little update on what's going on. The feet are now installed. Nothing particularly special about that, but there we go. We got some feet. All right, another little update. We've got leather corners on here now, as we can see. It didn't turn out as great as I had hoped. There's a part of me that wishes I'd have just sported for the Mesa corners. I think they have a better color. I got these from, sorry, I'll get it in frame there. I got these from Antique Electronic Supply, which they're quality enough. I mean, they're the same price as the stuff from Mesa Boogie. I think the thing that's nice about the Mesa Boogies is they kind of already got the little dimples for where you need to put the staples or whatever you want to call them. And my only gripe about these is that I ordered 10 just out of an abundance of caution, and even with the 10 that I got, there's like 3 of them that are different from the other, 7. So one of my corners is just a little bit different than the others, although I don't think you'll notice at the time or when it's all done up. But I will say that when it comes to corners, there's a big thing. Obviously I'm not going to show you doing it. There's other people that can show you, but my suggestion is to get the thing lined up as best you can, kind of find where you want to put the staple there, put your mark, take it, kind of hammer in the nail and kind of pre-punch it, and then get this corner here, your face side, done up first, and then come back around and squeeze in your other sides. You want to try to get it as tight as you can, obviously. When you get the corners wet, if you let them soak for like 10 or 15 minutes, they get pretty pliable, so it's easier to stretch. And then when they dry up, they'll shrink and hopefully suck into the corner. Obviously, we've got some wiggle room there, whatever. You can kind of see here how this one is. Let's see if it'll focus. There's just a little bit. Hopefully that'll suck in a bit. But, I feel like I could have done a better job with these. But they came out fairly even all the way around. Like, luckily you can only really see 2 corners at a time when you're looking at the amp, so you really can't see where the flaws are in lack of, you know, measuring things out. I guess what you can say is that with leather corners, it's not an exact science. This is definitely eye of the beholder kind of thing. So we've got the feet on. Nothing special about that. There's feet. This thing is just about done. I got the light. See that? There's my LED light up there installed. This wire will get tucked in there, and I think we're getting to about the point now where we're getting to the piece de la resistance. I guess that's how it would be said. I don't know. I got a very special piece here. I need to give a shout out to an individual, and I'm going to do that in the next segment. But there you have it. We're getting really close to being completed. Sorry, I'm playing with lighting a little bit to try to figure things out. And this camera, you know, it's just an iPhone, so it doesn't do great with it. But that's what we're working with. All right.